Amazing, guys. Great session. You all level up. So, let me just get the player's handbook and assign you all math homework for next week. Hi, everybody. Jared here, and welcome to You Start in a Tavern. Today, I'd like to have a little discussion. And the topic I'd like to cover today is how to create a game for all types of players. Now, DMing is a very, very difficult thing. There have been articles written of, some of the world's top CEOs have actually admitted to playing D&D in the past. And it's quite cool and funny when you hear stuff like that, because when you think about it, it's quite true. You have to organize a ton of stuff. You have to organize the players. You have to organize a story. You have to organize math, the NPCs, the monsters. You have to create a world. Like, you are managing so much. And at the end of the day, the most difficult thing that you really have to manage is, the player's enjoyment. Are they having fun at the table? You are a master storyteller. I'm sure many of you feel the same, but for me, I'm a creative person. I'm a filmmaker. I think what I really enjoy about Dungeons and Dragons is just, you are creating a world, so creating a fantasy world, a story, an adventure for your players just at your table. You can write whatever you want. You can make them face whatever they want. And I think there's just, you get a bit of a thrill not knowing how the players are going to interpret the story that you've made. You're making the story and you think you know what the players are gonna go through, and that's what's fun, but there's also that kind of hint of, the unexpected. You don't know what's fully going to happen. So what I wanted to talk about today is just, like what I've kind of learned, and I've only been playing Dungeons and Dragons for a few years, so I'm definitely not a veteran DM like most. One thing I started really early on is at the end of a session, I would do a round table with my players, and I would ask them what their favorite thing was about the session, and I would ask them what is something that they think should be improved, either with me, with themselves, with the other players, as a group. And I thought this was a really cool exercise, and this might be something that you can try. Maybe you're having issues at your group, maybe some people aren't as engaged. But I found this was a really, really cool way to gauge what people were liking and what people, weren't enjoying or, were finding boring. Early on when I started doing this exercise after our sessions, I really started to see that every single player that was at my table had, they had something that they wanted to take out of it. My one friend, he really liked combat. He really liked the strategy of it, the action, the danger. So he really loved combat. And then my sister, who plays with, is part of our group, she really liked the mystery. She liked the clues, not knowing, what was going to happen, trying to figure out what this big plot was, or what the enemies were up to. And then I had two other players. They really enjoyed the dialogue. Like talking to NPCs. Trying to convince people, persuade them, intimidate them. So they really loved that aspect. And then I had another friend, and she really enjoyed the kind of ambiance of the game. So, the basically kind of the world building. Like when you'd walked into a castle, like. She really liked the, knowing like, how it looked, how it felt, what was the lighting like. So I quickly realized that, like players all want something from the game. So, and this is the hardest thing to do because, sometimes you might have a session that's a little heavy on combat. Sometimes you might have a session that's a little, heavy on story side, there's lots of investigating, there's lots of traveling, there's lots of talking, finding clues. So, it's difficult in those situations because you know that some of the players maybe aren't as engaged as some of those other ones. So what I think is a really good thing to do is, try to balance your sessions, but don't make them predictable. Like, don't make your group expect that there's going to be combat every session, or maybe do what I did, talk to your players to ask what they want out of this game and try to incorporate a little bit of everything into your sessions. And I think that is a really cool way to get everybody involved, to get everybody's energy in. When you're creating a story, don't just think about your story. Don't just think about your world and what you want. Think about the players. Think about what they want. And I take that back. You know, it doesn't have to take away from your story, but maybe you're just finding a way to convey your story. You know, like maybe you can add a little bit more action if your players like a lot of action. Maybe you can add a little bit more of a mystery if your players like a mystery. Maybe you can add some creepy locations and, you know, like, you know, some ambience and world building and, you know, like really immerse them maybe with music and or more physical art, you know, showing what it looks like. So, you know, like just try to find what your players like and ask them, you know, and also ask them, you know, to give you critique on your own DMing, you know, because like as a DM, you're forever learning. You know, keeping that communication and building on it every session is going to really make the game more enjoyable for your players, which in turn makes it a lot more enjoyable for you as a DM, because I think I live off, you know, people enjoying what I create. So, you know, when they tell me that they love it, it's just the best feeling in the world. So, yeah, tell me your thoughts. Do you think that's a good strategy? Have you come up with any other, you know, solutions to kind of like figure out how to engage your players? Tell me, you know, share your thoughts in the comments below. And thanks for watching.